This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Mully Live and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music and wherever you listen to your podcast. Hello and welcome to Don't Get Me Started. It's the mother of all podcasts with Keith and Lee. Hi, I'm Lee.
And I'm Keith.
Hey Keith, Ross is gone now, hasn't he? He's not standing outside the door.
No, he's gone, Lee.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow, what a bloke, mate. Like, how interesting was he?
And funny too. At times you get somebody who is kind of like slapstick funny, but then you have others that are a little bit dry, laid back, and that was Ross.
Well, I just want to say to our listeners, we're talking about Ross, who came in last week, inaugural episode of our fan base, and he was a hoot. Dry as, very funny. Thank you, Ross, for coming on. You're a star.
I particularly liked his answer when we're throwing things at him and you challenged him and said, well, let's talk about conspiracy theories. Now, everybody, of course, goes, World Economic Forum and Bill Gates, all down that road, right? And Ross just goes, well, I did have a schooner, that's a beer, with Elvis last week. And I just cracked up. I thought
in Memphis, you said.
That was gold. It's the best conspiracy theory I heard. I'm with you, Ross. I'm going to hang out with you for a week, see what else comes along.
Well, thanks, Ross. We appreciate it. You're welcome anytime, mate. So, Mully, we can get back on topic.
Well, you and I, Lee, and I like this description of us, we're amateurs. You know, I may have said this in the past. Richard Branson said one of the great influences on his life was his mother. And he described her as one of the great amateurs of her time. I thought, what's that word mean in the sense that he's referring to? And what it means is that somebody has got a wide range of interests in different topics, different disciplines, but they may not know everything about it, but they have a little bit of an insight, or they've got a little bit a semi-informed opinion. And we're kind of like that. We don't put ourselves forward as experts, but we're unafraid to tackle or talk about anything. And we'll have picked up some of our own insights from our own life experience, or we'll do a little bit of research. But if somebody was an expert who came in here and tried to pin us down, of course, they could really easily, because we are just that. We're just reasonably informed amateurs. And I think that's fantastic because, back in the old days when they didn't have electronic entertainment, no television, no radio, people entertained each other by great conversations. They would give a bit of thought to who they would invite around for their evening's entertainment after a week of work. So you'd get somebody who could recite a poem, somebody who could play the piano, somebody who was a great raconteur. That means could tell a good story. And it was really important that this inter-exchange of talking and ideas that stimulated and flavoured the evening. And of course, we don't do that now because we've got television with all its variety and its coloured images, and radio, interesting people on there to entertain and do all that for us. Amateurs like you and I think now that we have the digital medium of the World Wide Web and podcasting, I think there's room for us, and may there be many more.
Absolutely.
Now, the reason I said all that is because an expert would come in here and whatever we say we were going to talk, one of the topics Ross brought up, train. Right? So imagine if, what about that guy on the internet, the man in seat 61. Have you ever seen that webpage? This guy has devoted his entire professional career to give you all the information on train travel worldwide. Okay. Massive detail. Absolutely fantastic. So if you and I were to start talking about train travel and he came in here, he could pin us down because he's the expert. And that could apply on any topic.
He's not coming on, is he?
It'd be unreal if he did, because he's so fascinating. You should check his site out. What I'm saying here is, Lee, is that you and I talk about a particular topic every episode, but we didn't last week with Ross. We didn't get a chance. So it was like, I kept thinking, and he said something about the movie with Pacino and Robert De Niro.
Heat.
Yeah, and what was the quote?
If you can't make a decision in 30 seconds, walk away.
Yeah, and I thought, well, there we go. That's what Lee and I are after. We'd like to talk about something that we can get our teeth into a little bit.
It's a good movie too.
And a little bit of homespun Hollywood philosophy there, and we don't care, do we? We'll pick it up. Yeah, look, what I thought, I did have an issue that I thought we could talk about this, and it's this. Do you think it's possible for somebody to grow up, 45, 50, 55, even 60, but to have not matured?
Good question. Have I got an answer to it?
Have you?
Well, there is one where I would think, would you want to grow up? My childhood was so incredibly good. I had a lot of freedom as a child, and growing up sort of took the spell away, where, say, like Christmas, for instance, where it's such a great time. And if I was in America, I'd say, yeah, Christmas is my favourite holiday. Friendship was so very real. It wasn't forced. It was natural. Your mates would come and knock at your door, and you just lived life innocently. And then, of course, as you get older, you come across different people and lives and their instances that's happened to them over their journeys in life. And you get older, and then you long for that childhood to come back again, because you have to be a responsible adult.
Well, you've taken it off into a direction.
As I do.
Yeah, I really hadn't foreseen or even thought about. And as you were answering, I thought, I think I've asked the wrong question. The question I think I wanted to ask is, can you age but not mature? So aging is different from growing up, because it seems to me we have an industry now of psychologists and psychiatrists and self-help gurus and endless books on this to try and get you onto a sound path, whatever that sound path might be. But it seems to me that the sound path could be you grow up, you find what you're good at, what you're interested in, what your strengths are, you develop them, become somebody inside of your personality and your abilities, your attributes. Then you provide for yourself and others out of that if you want to expand. And then in time you come in and you grow and expand and experience life. And in time, all of those things have completed you. You've grown in your abilities, your attributes, you've experienced the world and people and pleasure and all sorts of different wonderful things that are out there to enhance your life. And then you come to a point where you kind of slow down, if you like, as your age, where that's where you're alluding to becoming childlike again.
Yeah. Is there a sort of guide to this type of maturity, a certain age?
No, I don't think there is. But I do think that there is a path. There must be, because otherwise we wouldn't have all these self-help gurus and psychiatrists trying to put you back into something.
Well, I can understand that because of today's society, social media, the peer pressure, the amount of information that has been thrust upon you. So you should really know everything because it's all there. It's like what happened today where you're trying to think of a name, you got on the phone. You said, hey, Siri. So I think it's a good thing that you have psychologists to get you out of that, get you away from that. And I think maturing from the grey matter or from your body, your aging, I think experience life for what presents itself to you.
I think the key word in this question, can you age but not mature? I think the key word here, and this is at the heart of what I've been thinking about, maturity, maturing. What is it for a person to mature? Well, let me pin it down even more. What is a mature person?
What I would normally have done, researched it, and I would have defined what maturity is. But I could Google it.
Well, you Google it while I rattle on a little bit here, right? So we're talking about cheese maturing, wine maturing or aging, which means that it's settled. It has come into its best after going through a certain process. So how I'm looking at growing is that as you grow through the years, you become a certain type of person, you have a certain personality, you have certain strengths and abilities, so all of those things are out there for you. Now, they're not necessarily given to you by somebody else in your family or immediate circle. They're your own unique individual quality. Now, if you press into them, then you have to overcome difficulties to see them fully develop. So that's something that you yourself have to develop.
So that's it. Maturity is not a matter of age, but instead of how you choose to respond and react to various life situations. It's essentially a level of mental development or wisdom that has a bearing on all areas of an individual's life, right from their conduct to their relationship with others. So to me, it's like we're saying, is that it's just not about an age. It's about the maturity, the development of wisdom.
It's coming into something. It's coming into something that's unique to you, that enables you to become fully yourself. Like, go back to aging or maturing. We're at the end of a golden era. Well, actually, the golden era, it was a golden era for a number of reasons. That you could, 50 years ago, go into a job and stay in that one job as a good employee. May not necessarily be a company that gives you career advancements. During that golden baby boom's age from, say, late 1950s to the the year 2000, working conditions in Western countries were such that if you stayed in that one position for 20, 30, 40 years, all these financial benefits grew and people are retiring, baby boomers are retiring with well over $500,000, sometimes $1 million, simply by being in one job for the last 50 years. Why do I say that? Because whilst they have accumulated financially, they have not necessarily been challenged like the father who had to create the steel mill from nothing. So all these baby boomers that are out there now in their 70s cashed up have, a lot of them may not have matured, Lee.
Well, what do we think maturity is in a person? What would class as maturity? So what about patience?
Definitely.
Perseverance?
Definitely.
What you were saying, decision-making?
Definitely.
Dependability, self-control and humility.
All of the above.
So that makes you a mature person.
Sterling qualities.
Sterling qualities.
Well, they are. So let's go back to our baby boomers, you know, our beautiful, beautiful baby boomers, much discussed these days. Isn't it interesting that now in the age of baby boomers, that, you know, they've always been baby boomers, but we talk about them now because they're all retired, they're cashed up and they've got all of their major goals in life behind them and they're travelling around in big vans exploring the world and doing this and that. Baby boomers, we have a phenomena that we haven't spoken about in the public domain before, and that's mental health. It's always been there. People have always had mental health problems, but it's not been something that people spoke about as widely as what they do today.
Didn't understand it.
Might it be, Lee, that some of our... Yeah, but we didn't see that as mental health. We saw that as insanity.
Well, that's what mental health, they would diagnose it as.
Yeah, but we've got this... Another thing that we talk about a lot in mental health these days is depression. The other thing that's popped up that we talk about and we're very aware of these days is dementia. Now, I'm sure there's always been dementia, but we hear about that 30, 40, 50 years ago?
Undiagnosed, I suppose.
So what I'm saying is this. If we have people who have aged, who are in their 70s or 60s and 70s, and that they've not had to become patient, dependable, maybe they're the ones that haven't really matured. Now, they have outward signs of success. If they haven't matured, maybe that's a reason why we're seeing an explosion in mental health and dementia. I mean, I don't know.
That's a whole different podcast, that.
But it seems to me that could be why that has come about, because we have a lot of people that have aged, but they haven't matured. Good theory?
Interesting question. And I suppose it depends on how you look at it. Like I looked at it in a different way than what you look at it as. But maturity is that, you need to mature. What is maturity? So it's qualities of being everything I've just said. I hope that you're enjoying the podcast and the content that we're bringing to you each week. I want to take a moment to invite you to support the show. Your contributions help us continue creating high-quality episodes, bringing in exciting guests and exploring the topics you love. Every bit helps, whether it's a small donation or signing up for our Patreon account. By supporting us, you're not just helping keeping the lights on, you're becoming part of our community and helping us grow. To show our appreciation, we offer exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more for our supporters. So if you love what we do and you want to see us thrive, please consider signing up at buzzsprout.com/Don't Get Me Started. Support the show. Thank you for being part of our journey, and let's keep the conversation going.
Could you say it again, please, Lee? I thought it was brilliant. Now, one of them is patience, endurance, dependability, risk-taking.
Okay, so we have patience, which is an excellent one. Perseverance, another one. Decision-making, dependability, self-control.
Oh, isn't that a good one?
And humility.
Humility. And we could add integrity.
Yeah, you could keep adding to them, but patience for me is a toughie. Self-control. They're the ones I need to be more mature about.
And what about trustworthy? I like the one endurance.
Endurance. That's a pretty good one.
There's an old word, you don't hear it too much anymore, long-suffering. The ability to suffer without complaint or caving in. What are you thinking
I'm
about?
caving in every time, mate.
To whom?
For sure.
To whom?
Well,
Can I-
yeah, no.
No, you're not going to say right.
I'm not going to give that up. I would like to get in a little bit more deeper with this because it just opens up a whole new beginning of what I think is the end. I think maturity, where do you go from that?
What I'm thinking too is that these qualities that we've just listed, there's a question that is being asked around a lot these days is, what does it mean to be a man? These qualities, of course, are not gender specific. They can be male or female. But what is wrong with a man who is patient, who can persevere, is dependable, has vision, has all those qualities? And if you break down those qualities, it means that there's a person that you can, if he's dependable or she's dependable, but I'm specifically talking about what it is to be a man now. I'm not being sexist at all. I'm just zeroing in on one topic. If a man took some of those qualities, he's going to be very manly, I would think, because a lot of those qualities would fit very much align with masculinity.
But wouldn't that be the norm, though? Wouldn't you just acquire those as you get older?
The question, do you mature as you get older?
Yeah, that's the thing, maturity.
Which are these qualities? Now, just stop for a moment. How many people do you know who are 70 that don't even have 3 of those qualities?
A few.
A few. Like, the way you're looking at me and laughing, it's more than a few.
Well, it's different, see, because as you know, you've travelled, Molly, and you've come across. Like, for instance, if you go to Japan, so with a 70-year-old in Japan, they would have those qualities. You would hope, but majority probably would, from my understanding, because it's more respectful. You go to the UK, there probably would be, but it would be certain parts of the country that would have that. In Australia, again, the same sort of thing, westernised. Looking up what they think it is doesn't really equate to the people I'm thinking of. They may have 1 or 2.
1 or 2. We listed about 7 or 8 sterling qualities.
Well, this is mature. This is the word maturity. When you first said it, I thought, yeah, that's going to be great. I like that. Of course, now I'm looking into it, and now I'm hearing you. I'm sort of going, shall I put maturity to another word of the if, buts and maybes and shoulda, woulda, couldas?
See, we used to have in our societies, and some societies still do, elders. They were those that you respected.
That's the last one of the human, like infant or baby, infant, child. Then the last one, parent, would be elder. The Chinese look after their elders. The children have to look after their
but
elders.
Elderly is age. Elder is maturity. You could be 85 and not have the quality and attributes to be an elder because you haven't matured properly. Just because you're aged doesn't mean you are mature, I don't think. And it also means if you do have elders in your society or village, then they have to qualify to be given that honorary title. I've known a couple of guys that have been in their 80s and they've been absolute bricks. I can't attribute even 1 or 2 of these qualities to them.
But you've been around the world of, like me, and you have seen different cultures and they act differently. Like, could you imagine your children looking after you?
God help them. It would be very difficult.
Like, there's no way. Maturity, I think it should be struck off, the words I said before. Maybe cheeses, mature cheese. Mature wine.
See how good we are, Lee? We're maturing. We're comparing the maturing of a dependable elder to cheese.
To cheese, which is enjoyable and has stood the test of time. Most people, there'll be a certain amount that will, but most people don't meet that mark.
No, they don't.
And like maturity, like I had to look it up. Like I should really know what maturity is. Why don't I?
Well, I'm not. If you're going to do that, I would encourage you to go back to those qualities that you read out, because as you were saying those, it just resonated to me. I thought, yeah, they're the qualities of maturity, particularly for a person. Any one of those is a very, very good quality. Dependability stood out. Perseverance, patience. I have a situation here that's urgent. I need somebody to come in here and look after my affairs while I go off and do the urgency, and somebody has to come in and pick it up. Do you have the patience to do it?
You could have all those qualities at a young age. You could have it in 20s, early 20s.
Now that's now you're flipping the
30s
coin.
maybe.
Now you're flipping the coin. I don't think you could have them in your 20s.
You can't?
I think you'd have some of them because you have to grow and mature. It's a growth.
Yeah, what's the word again? Mature.
That's the key word here.
The maturity of it all.
Now, we have old souls, don't we? People who are older than their
Yeah,
years.
he was born or they were born an old soul.
Or the other one's a late bloomer, you know?
Or the black sheep of the family.
Well, yeah, they're the ones that they've gone way off left and probably end up in jail.
Surely some part of their life they have to mature, really, or not? Because that's basically what I was thinking in the beginning. Do I have to? Is it a requisite that I have to mature and have all those qualities of being, say, an elder doesn't make, but elderly? Who would I be passing them on to? Because if I'm elderly, most of my family would have, my family would have been gone, but my children and the grandchildren. So you're just going to be the grandfather that is mature.
Now, this is I like what you said there. Do I have to?
Do I have to mature?
Now, no, you don't have to. But I would suggest that if you didn't, you're doing yourself a disservice.
To who?
Yourself.
For what reason?
Because you haven't matured. So therefore, you're opening yourself up, in my thinking, to the possibility of mental health problems.
Yeah.
Because you're 68 and you're still thinking like you're 18. Like, why?
Yeah, there's going to be that because it's just the process of getting old. Like it's going to happen. It's like my mother who's 99 and she's been diagnosed with mild dementia. She's 99. What can you do for her at 99?
Well, that's an entirely different scenario. We're talking about somebody who's, maybe 60 up. 99, man,
But
it's nearly all over.
It's interesting to see the statistics of at that age and or if they get dementia or they get Alzheimer's or anything like that. It's something where maturity keeps it at bay.
Yes.
Pushes it to one side. It's not going to happen.
If I get mild dementia in my early 70s, I'm going to be pissed off. But if I get mild dementia when I'm 99, I don't give a rat's.
Don't care.
I would not say because anybody is interested in something that is making them mature. I'd say it's contributing towards them becoming mature because it's not being an interesting person. Quality of character. It's those things, those characteristics that you read out before.
Is there anybody in your family that has dementia or have had dementia?
Well, my mother had the same age dementia in the 90s as she faded. No, there hasn't been.
I'm trying to think. Bruce Willis, he's got a certain form of dementia where he's non-verbal. So they're just around him to be around him. But he was mature and he was active, but he still got dementia. Yeah.
But look, sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful because dementia is a horrible, terrible thing.
It's shocking.
Not just for the individual, but for the people who have to be around that person and they have to pick up a lot of the responsibilities. Just leaving Bruce aside for the moment, just because I don't know here, Lee. I mean, No,
we're just talking mental health. And you brought up the dementia because it's been mental health. Because of not maturing. That's the thread I'm going off.
Yes. And it's a thread I like. And I guess I'm trying to say is if you do mature, my thinking would be that it's going to help keep dementia at bay. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, like that's Jordan Petersen, if you're listening, I mean, call us up, man. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I look at it a little bit differently, obviously, because I think, like you said, dementia wasn't spoken about X amount of years ago, but did it exist before? Don't know. Is it a modern day issue with mental health that's happening? Could be dietary as well.
Well, see, here's another thing. I don't know. Now, you said I've travelled around a lot, and I have, but when I went to all those different countries, I certainly didn't go under the surface. Some of them I just skimmed across the top as a tourist, enjoyed the ambience, the different visuals and the scenery and the great buildings and the sights, blah, blah, blah. I was virtually a tourist to a large degree, as much as a traveller. I mean, that's all different. It's a bit of a wanky argument that are you a tourist or a traveller? We're all bloody tourists, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree.
So I can't really talk about other cultures, but I do know that we have dementia in our Western cultures, which are affluent. Now, I wonder if dementia is a problem in, say, Syria or Peru or in Mongolia or in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I get it. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And I'm going to do some research on it because I love researching, as you know. And it's an interesting...
The reason I mentioned affluence is that affluence brings ease. And if you have ease of life, those challenges that make you grow... See, remember, I'm doing a Petersen here, actually, because Jordan Petersen, when he did the 12 Rules of Life, he gave an example of lobsters. I'm going back to the example of cheese. The cheese has to go through a process of change and growth to become mature. So a person who has a life of ease hasn't necessarily gone through change or challenges or growth to become mature, like person me, given if you have a life of ease where you haven't been challenged, maybe it's just been all given to you. Have you grown? Have you matured? You've aged, certainly.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how you use that. Like you were just saying about when you're a traveller, you skimmed along the top a lot of places. A lot of people do that with life. They just skim along
Correct.
the top. They don't
Correct.
look into, don't go any deeper. They don't understand the whole purpose of why we're here.
Correct.
They have no concept of life or to live until the time where we all have to meet Mr. Grim Reaper as he knocks on the door. And I hope, as I said to you before, I hope he finds me alive.
Could be St. Peter that you meet.
Could be anybody.
But we've already done that, haven't we?
But I think the whole thing is a very interesting one, and I will do some research on it. And everybody out there, what do you think? Do you agree with what Keith and I are talking about? Have you got any questions or any insights that you'd like to share with us? Contact us. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and if you do have Jordan Petersen's phone number or email, get in contact with him, please. Tell him we'd love to take a phone call. What a great act he'd be following Ross. Hey, Mr. Petersen.
That'd be beautiful, I reckon. Anything happens and down the line, I'm always going to have this on speed dial here. I'll leave you the last word.
Well, it's just been great to come in here again and to talk with you, my brother. Just no end of joy and stimulation for me. And we just hope that everybody else out there who's had the patience and the grace to listen to us enjoy it as much as what we do. We certainly hope so. We love all our listeners. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. And so until next time, it's hooroo from me.
And it's goodbye from me.